Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joel here. And I'm Daffy Duck here. We are back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we have managed to explore around on, well, I wouldn't say exploring, but we did manage to play through a bit on, well, gymnastics in all three of those events, and we managed to get all of the gold medals in gymnastics, and also we've done aquatics, despite the fact that we did manage to fail miserably in synchronized swimming. But regardless of such though, we've only got one gold medal in 100-meter freestyle swimming. And also we've done canoe sprinting 1000 meters, and of course equestrian in equestrian show jumping, which we also got the gold medals with. So today, for this particular episode, is the fact that we're also able to do 3 events for today, which there are badminton, which is in this case badminton doubles, and beach volleyball, and of course table tennis. Now, if you want to know what's going on in the character selection screen, well, the truth is, this is our second attempt for this recording session because, well, we'll explain more about this whenever we dive right into the forms of badminton events itself. So let's go and pick Dr. Eggman and Metal Sonic because trying to make a reference to the opening sequence. So, in this event, teams of 2 competes, let's just go for 5 points. Teams of 2 competes in there with a team. Wow, let's go for 1 round. So yeah, in this event, yeah, we're to get the most points. So, yeah, because of that though, yeah, this event does take place in London Sports Arena, as you can see on screen. So yeah, this is a perfect example of why that we have to change settings and all that stuff, because we did technically try to do this on the first attempt during the other day ago, but holy macaroni, it really dragged on, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, for the sake of time, is the fact that since after all we still managed to compete against with the normal difficulty of computer players, and then as a result, the first match took about 12 or so minutes in terms of this recording, and as a result, we really don't want to make it drag on, you know. So yeah, as a result, we need to do this recording session again, except this time around though, we just want to make things a little bit simpler and short at the same time. Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing, just because, well, I just seriously can't even believe that the previous attempts does manage to drag, which hopefully that won't make it happen until every once in a while, just because of how the fact that we just want to able to actually get the actual recording sessions done, basically. So either way though, yeah, today's day is of course the, I would say today is the 11th of June today, in this case in 2020. So for the sake of clarity, is the fact that for those of you who lived in UK, happy 10th anniversary of the Super Mario Galaxy 2 release in the UK version. So, yeah, we just want to classify that because the game already came out during the forms of the rest of the countries now. Although I'm pretty sure that including Australian versions as well, including the Korean version as well, that usually calls it Super Mario Wii 2. So because of that though, yeah, I just want to classify that. So yeah, as far as the badminton, as you can see, badminton doubles is the fact that it seems pretty simple. However though, it's gonna be another one of those difficult events to win on. Probably because you have to be extremely dead on with the timing between, you know, trying to keep an eye open with the forms of the shuttlecock and stuff like that. Think of like tennis, except the fact that rather than just, you know, trying to make the tennis ball bounce once or anything like that before you're able to serve. So instead, we need to keep an eye out for the forms of the shuttlecock itself. So as a result, that in order to be able to get points, is the fact that you really want to let the shuttlecock land onto anyone else's side of the court. And then whoever makes a certain amount of points will able to progress to the actual tournament table. So yeah, as a result, if you manage to win the finals, then you receive a gold medal. So but yeah, here's the thing, this is the only events that I found is a little bit tricky and difficult, is the fact that, well, much like in the ones in Wii Sports Tennis, you have no full control over your character, so you have to let your character automatically move for the whole entire time. So as a result of that kinds of stuff, though, it does manage to get a lot of emphasis on, like, does take forever to get used to kind of syndrome or something, so even then no. But when you get enough practice it though, especially noticeable considerably with the forms of you know, trying to cope with specific stuff, then you should able to realize that you would able to actually just get used to with that. Along the way, though, is the fact that in order to able to actually activate this special move, that if you let the shuttlecock, shuttlecock manage to glow in red, this actually represents that you're going to be performing a special move eventually. So yeah, as a result, again, it does take a long while, but even I know that this is one of those events. Metal Sonic! How dare you just hit us in our back? Oh well, we'll have to come across and introduce then, I suppose. So yeah, as a result, another thing that's usually this just makes this event a little bit dragged on in our previous recording attempts in joining forms of this event in general, all for the sake of time. That's only because of how the fact that, I swear to God, computer players are so good at this event. I have no idea what that is. Is it probably because of timing experts or something? Or perhaps maybe it's because of how the fact that we did swinging a bit too early, or maybe it's probably because we keep on getting used to playing Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 version. Speaking of that game, actually, it's the fact that, unfortunately, much like the 3DS version of this game, along with Rio 2016 on the 3DS as well, certain characters can only be played on certain events, mainly with, well, Tails and the rest of the gang in the forms of Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, which is kind of sucks because even then, no, I get it because it's almost like an equivalent to the 3DS counterparts or something like that in terms of the limitations of, you know, character selection of choices or something. So yeah, as a result, that Sonic is the only one who can able to experience all of those events. Probably because he was the actual main hero after all, because, you know, he's the main character in the forms within the entire Sega mascot or something. So, alongside with any other Sega franchises as well, like, you know, House of the Dead and Super Monkey Ball, and especially noticeable with Alex Kidd and also Virtual Fighter, and all the other jazz basically. So yeah, and don't forget, Joel, Billy Hatcher. Oh yeah, I forgot about that game actually, because we didn't exactly played it as a kid, probably because it just makes things a little bit difficult for ourselves at this rate. So, because I noticed that some people usually complain about the forms of that ledge problem or something, so maybe you get the point for this point, Duffy. You probably get the point. So as we said before, in order to progress for the actual tournament standpoint, is the fact that, well, you just have to win, basically. So yeah, that's how essentially how this goes. You know, just like in the forms of how it does in the previous installment, which is of course Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, sorry, and also the same applies to the original Olympic Games as well. Except the fact that, well, unlike the ones in Sochi 2014, that it does manage to able to give us an opportunity saying like, well, we're just gonna have to skip it for the actual main points or something. I have no idea why I'm truly asking this right about now, just because, again, there's not much else we can talk about apart from the fact that, well, fundamentally speaking at this point, is the fact that we almost at the halfway point in terms of the forms of the Olympic events themselves. So once we're done with the Olympic events, then until likely or so until next week or something, then we can able to show you guys the dream events. So yeah, that's how it goes basically. So even then though, we can at least expecting for this much. Oh, really? Oh wow, that was a terrific start. But then again though, that this is one of those events about the fact that you have no control of your character. So it just always moves automatically, and the only way you can able to actually hit the shuttlecock between the other team and stuff like that is the fact that you need to keep an eye on the circle, because otherwise if you dare manage to able to, well, hit the exact same time as the circle, then this actually replicates you would be able to hit the shuttlecock. But then again though, it does get a little bit of a you know, the trickiest moments, probably because of how the fact that, again, you have no control of your character, and as a result, you have to stuck with the forms of automatic character movements, you know, so as a result, yeah, it does take a long time to able to get used to with that stuff, so. But luckily, since we can able to utilize the special move, even though I have to admit though right away, is the fact that Dr. Eggman's special move can get pretty helpful at points, but the problem with that is that since this is normal computer players, this means they already know where the shuttlecock is. So as a result, there's going to be plenty of times that you might able to actually just to realize that computer players get very lucky most of the time. Sometimes they always attempt to able to mess you up with your movements and such. And we kind of wish if we're able to utilize the nunchucks to make things a little bit easier for ourselves. But until whenever we get on to the point where, whenever we move on to the next event, which appears to be beach volleyball, that hopefully things can get a little bit more easier for ourselves, you say. So even then though, but then again, we'll talk more about it until later. I do apologize if my throat is actually getting dried up, probably because, you know, as to be expected with most commentaries these days, that it does manage to give us a lot of opportunities that we might get voice exhaustion. So as a result, yeah, something's worth to clarify for something. So, you know, you get the idea for this point. So anyway. So yeah, something's worth mentioning also is the fact that Badminton will make a return in Tokyo 2020. So yeah, there's not much else we can able to comment it on it. So yeah, because of that though, whenever we get on to Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games Let's Play, it should be pretty interesting to say the least. Especially noticeable how the fact that we could expect that we are able to actually see something for this throughout. Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there until, you know, again, when Mario and Sonic are about to get onto that, specifically to that game, until, you know, next month or so. So, but either way though, it's a little bit too early to discuss on this for the sake of time right now. So yeah, you get the idea for this point. So, anywho. So anyways, let's go ahead and just keep on doing that, and then hopefully we should be able to get one more point, and then we should be able to just, well, classify for doing that. So, but yeah, that's you normally expected at this such, so even then, there's not much else we can say in terms of, you know, Badminton as a result. Again, we must admit though, we do apologize with the actual commentary and stuff like that, because, again, there's not much else we can talk about, apart from the fact that we've almost done with the Olympic events and stuff like that before we move on to, you know, the dream events and anything like that. So even then, though, that's to be far expected at this rate. So, but you know. Alright, so let's just hopefully we're not going to mess things up in terms of likely just trying to win this event, even though sometimes, again, computer players always seem to get very, very, very lucky in terms of trying to able to just get for the sake of clarity. But regardless of such though, Joel, is the fact that we have managed to win this without a doubt. So yeah, that's all I can really must confess for that point. So, there we go. So, oh no, Badminton, I found this event to be alright. Not my favorite event in the whole entire thing, but it was there, and I'm very glad that it does manage to become pretty alright and such, rather than just becoming like, well, I don't know about you, but either way though, it's kind of a shame that Rio 2016 doesn't seem to have this event, unless if you want to count the 3DS version, which the 3DS version plays out exactly like how it did in the, well, the London 2012 Olympic Games counterpart on the 3DS. So, speaking of the 3DS version actually, it's the fact that all it gets is just basically, it's like, well, a points-based, well, between likely if it's in or out kind of mini-game, and also just trying to compete with the other team for 3 points, which is a little bit lesser extent. So anyways, now let's move on to the next event, which appears to be beach volleyball. And for this event, we'll go for 2 Sonic Go characters, which are Blaze the Cat and Amy Rose. So in this event, teams of 2 face each other on a beach volleyball court. So basically, we just have to, like, well, aim for amount of points as we could, and then we should be able to win without doubt. And this takes place in Horse Guards Parade, so as a result, yeah, I just want to classify that. And for this control scheme this time around, we might able to use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck combo this time around. Because yeah, in certain events, specifically this event, along with football, which we'll get into in a moment, that this is going to be one of those events that we're able to actually have ourselves an easier time playing the game while playing the actual, the Wii Remote and Nunchuck combo. Because since, after all, in the past, that we did manage to play through, well, I'm pretty sure that Sonic and Tiana has already done Mario Sports Mix Let's Play back a long time ago. That, if you remember from volleyball sports in Mario Sports Mix. Oh, we have to use the nunchuck to start things up. Anyway, so, yeah, because basically... Oh, wow, that's a really terrific start. Anyway, aside from all that stuff, though, is the fact that, yeah, because with the reason why we have to go for this control scheme, like the Wiimote and nunchuck combo, because it just makes things, pretty easy if you manage to get the hang of it, though. So, even then, though, but I will say for this point right around now, this event feels a lot more balanced compared to the forms of how it does it in Rio 2016 counterpart to me, though. This is pretty obvious because for number one, we don't have to worry about this overpowered panels thing, so you have to able to always keep on stand on. So it's basically like a standard, you know, straightforward volleyball stuff. Although every once in a while, though, is the fact that in order to be able to activate the special move, now whenever you see that little shock waves, or in this case by default that glowing waves, underneath the characters themselves, and then once you're able to done so already, then you weren't able to actually activate the special move, so that way you can able to get the ball in super easily. And also, much like in Badminton, as you can see, that we're more so able to actually just to go ahead and go for as shortest game as possible, just because we really don't want to drag on, unless if we manage to get stuck with the forms of, well, harder computer players, or even especially noticeable with this dragged out game or something, so, but I digress. But I will say for this point right about now, this feels miles better than the ones and how it does in Rio 2016 version in my opinion, because, well, for one obvious thing is the fact that, well, I don't know if you can able to actually block your volley or anything like that in Rio 2016 version. Mind you, because it's been ages since we actually come back onto Rio 2016 Olympic Games. This is probably because we just want to able to think back on the previous games again, including eventually until in the future that we can able to try out or try to do a let's play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Despite the fact that it's kind of a shame that this event will not make a comeback in the forms of in Tokyo 2020. I think this is what most people complain about, the back in the forms of 2016 Olympic Games, is the fact that sometimes that volleyball can be pretty clumsy at points, mainly due to the fact that with the smart AI and everything like that, or maybe it's because we're pretty much different into that. So anyways, now let's face off against with Yoshi, or in this case Team Yoshi once again, except now, he's now teaming up with Daisy. Yeah, as opposed to the ones in Badminton, as you remember, as you saw, that he just somehow team up with Vector. In this case, more likely I don't know about you for this point, Joel, likely, I don't know. So anyways, let's go ahead and hopefully win for the gold. So, even then, it's actually not too bad, even though despite the fact that you have to be so fast at points. And especially noticeable how the fact that, well, I'm very glad that we actually going back into this control stick with pivot points with the nunchuck and stuff, because much like the GameCube, does manage to able to get ourselves this little octagonal points with the analog stick in mind. Yeah, it just makes the actual movement and accuracy a little bit more accurate enough, and that was my fault. Whoops. Oh well, we're not gonna give up on that, because even then though, we'll try our best if we're able to go for the gold. As far as whenever we get on to the next event, until likely on next Tuesday, oh man, this will be a lot more entertaining, especially noticeable whenever we get onto on football and stuff, then we should be able to actually just to classify it. Alright, so let's go ahead and, oh, we almost gonna block it, but hopefully we would do as soon as when Daisy takes a shot. And there goes the blockage. And unlike the 3DS version is the fact that you have no control over your character, so you have to do with a lot of timing requirements on the 3DS version, which I would say the Wii version is definitely a little bit more timeable compared to the forms of the 3DS version in my opinion. Well, mind you, it's probably because it's like a minigame compilation in the forms of in a 3DS version, but with any like random different control types, which is understandable for 3DS features and all that stuff. However though, I must admit though right away, is the fact that with movable control movements with your character, much like in volleyball sports, in Mario Sports Mix, it just makes things a little bit more easier. Oh wait a minute, I get a feeling, wait, oh, so close. I probably shouldn't able to noticing this from the start. So yeah, whenever you see the character's matches start to go glowing, as you can see from... Oh, I don't know if Amy might be able to use that. Is she going to use it? I don't know if she can able to use that yet though, but she will do it to any point worth noting for. Is she going to use it? Yep, she's going to use it. So yeah, basically if you use the special move, then it allows the ball go straight in, like, straight away. So even then though, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And conveniently enough, we have managed to win beach volleyball. I actually have to admit though, I actually really enjoyed this event. Even though it does take a while to get used to back then, especially noticeable when this game came out in 2011, specifically on the Nintendo Wii version, whilst compared to the 3DS version that came out in the 2012, to make it more likely the perfect year, they're able to release in the exact same year time as in the actual London 2012 Olympic Games takes place. So, what is up with all these Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games these days now? Always attempt to release just right before the actual Olympics starts. Like, they obviously did that on Beijing 2008 on the Wii version, and the majority in Vancouver 2010 if you want to count the Winter Olympics. And also same applies to London 2012, which is this, in 2011, and then the actual London Olympics 2012 takes place in, well, obviously 2012, and, well, before we get on to that, let's move on to the final event for today's video, and let's go and pick, I don't know, we haven't selected any of those Princess Peach or Princess Daisy characters for sure, but we'll save those two until for later. But for now, let's go and use Yoshi in table tennis singles. So let's go and set the usual points, and I think it should be all good. In this event, players hit a small ball across the table to win points against each other. So yeah, think of like how it does in the original game for sure. And except the fact that the noticeable difference this time around is the fact that we need to aim a little amount of points as much as possible. And this takes place in Excel London. So because of that though, because we already know exactly what the actual locales is all about. So, but either way though, that's all I can really say about this. And conveniently enough, we're almost going to be competing against with every single Mario characters in this tournament, apart from Dr. Eggman of course. Which, you know, he was the only Sonic character who's going to be on the tournament from now on, so... In this case, he's the first opponent we're going to be face off against, so let's get this thing to it. So again, there's not much else we can say apart from the fact that, well, you know, this event right here plays out exactly like how it did in the forms of, well, the original game for sure. So as a result of that specific matter, is the fact that you have to once again time your swings and what have you. But I will say for this point, between Beijing 2008 version of this event, along with London 2012 counterparts of this event feels way more tolerable to me compared to this very stingy timing in Rio 2016 version, because I swear to God, whenever I was trying to able to hit the small ball and able to actually hit it back towards each other, I swear to God, the timing is so stingy on Rio 2016, specifically the Wii U version, because I don't seem to have that much of a problem on the 3DS version. But we don't know if we can able to actually guarantee if it's the same thing for Tokyo 2020. But we'll save that up whenever when Mario and Sonic were able to point that out, whenever they're gonna be go and deal with that game and during the Let's Play department. So yeah, that's all I could think of. So anyway, so looks like so far so good. And obviously with the noticeable difference between the original counterpart of table tennis compared to this is that obviously you do have a special move. You know, think of like a combination of both normal table tennis as well as dream table tennis on Beijing 2008, except the noticeable difference is that, well, it obviously takes place now in the actual Olympics real world or something, so... yeah, it's something worth pointing out. So, the 3DS version of this event, though, it looks incredibly different compared to this is. And because of this, though, you have to switch between the actual teammates of yours. So that way, if you see the actual table tennis racket icon showed up, that actually represents that who's gonna take turns in between hitting every single, like, ping pong, or in this case, the small ball, if you will. So, yeah, that's obviously worth mentioning. To activate the special move or special smash is the fact that you have to hold down the B button and also just thrust the Wiimote downwards. So yeah, something's well classified for saying that. And there we go, that's the first round done, but we're not exactly done with this yet though, because we're now moving on to the finals. So I wonder what player are we going to be faced up against, I wonder. I guess we'll never know until whenever we're able to, well, not only just get on with the actual results screen and stuff like that to skip through, but let's see what opponents we face up against. Oh, we have Luigi to face up against with. I'm guessing it's more likely able to referencing Mama Luigi episode or something like that. Like making Luigi proud for able to see Yoshi just does it so well for able to, you know, just try to deal with the entire ordeal or something. Or maybe it's related to, well, Mario is missing or something. Oh god, don't even mentioning that game because, well, despite the fact we have not actually played it, well, there are multiple versions of Mario is missing, but I've heard that the NES version is considered to be the worst version of the bunch, probably because there's less cities to check out, and there's less amount of platforming. Or actually, kind of think about it though, there are less characters compared to the ones in any other versions or something, so. And also Mario's Time Machine game, which apparently from what I've heard, that the Super Nintendo version is considered to be the worst of the bunch in terms of Mario's Time Machine game, probably because there are less cities to check out and there's a lot of less of platforming involved. Yeah, which I was thinking about that, probably because we actually looked upon the actual videos in between, and then we actually did double check on certain comparisons or anything like that, but I digress. So yeah, back into what we're saying when it comes to the forms of releasing Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series, that as far as to date, that despite the fact that there aren't any Mario and Sonic releases on 2018, probably due to the fact that the actual Olympic Games video games oh, that was an out. Yeah, because I can see that little white ball just managed to do not land on that specific court. So, or in this case the table if I have to say so. And much like the forms of the original game though, you have no control of your character, which I appreciate, because that way it just makes the actual positioning a lot more steadier than the forms of how it does in quite stingy timing than the ones in Rio 2016 version. Yeah, we keep on comparing between the two, probably because if you ever saw a Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, then you do realize is the fact that Mario and Sonic did sometimes get a little bit ticked off whenever they always attempt to mess up with their timing in journey forms of trying to like hit the white ball back and forth in between, while at the same time trying to move around at the same time. Which I will say it wasn't exactly accurate though, in my opinion though, but that's how it goes basically. So yeah, in Sochi 2014 came out just right before the Sochi 2014 Winter Olympic Games happened, and then Rio 2016, luckily, did manage to came out exactly the same year as when Rio 2016 Olympic Games is about to happen. And then now in 2019, does manage to reveal, well, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 for the Nintendo Switch, just right before 2 years before the Tokyo 2020 Olympics will be starting, despite the fact that the actual date has now been changed. In between likely, well, originally in 2020's release, but now it's been officially delayed, you know, from the likes of 2021. Kind of sucks though, but either way though, I will blame on coronavirus for that, because, you know, they just really want to ruin summer for us for this year, so just want to point that out right away, as what Joel just mentioned. So, conveniently enough, we got the endings of this point right there, so join us next time for more of Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. It's the fact that we're going to be moving on to the final 4 events, which do are football, shooting, fencing, and cycling at the same time. So see you guys until Tuesday.